Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you.
So, my favorite question, I think we met in like a Facebook group, right? Sobriety Facebook group. Yeah.
Correct.
My favorite question to start off with is what is your sober date?
My sober date is November 13th, 2023.
Okay, so November 13th, 2023. You're coming up on 2 years then, or right around 2 years.
672 days sober.
672 days up until the day we're recording. Today is September 15th. This will be out around your anniversary. November 13th. What day of the week is that? Let's see. November 13th is a Thursday. I'll release this on November 12th.
Aw, cool.
So let me just write a note. November 12th, Amy. All right. So this will come out the day before your 2-year anniversary. That leads me to my second favorite question, which is what was happening on November 12th of 2023?
Well, so I thought I had hit my bottom 10 months before. So really my sobriety journey started probably about 13 years ago, where my family, my ex-husband were noticing that I was drinking more, and it so part of my story is I was hiding a secret, and I had gone to a rehab, which really just felt like more like a vacation, in Scottsdale, Arizona, and more like a retreat. And then I came back. I was 90 days sober, and hit 90 days, went straight to the liquor store and bought a bottle of wine. So it was off and on, off and on. I went to 3 rehabs, equine therapy, and a sober living home. And not everyone who will see this knows all of this, but my family does, and my life coach, I guess. And so I eventually, about 3 years ago, I'm from Colorado, and had separated from my husband, divorced my husband, begged to come back to the family, and just could not keep it together. And I truly believe now that I know this quote or whatever, that you are as sick as your secrets.
Yeah.
And I certainly believe that. And I had secrets, and I was not well. And now that I'm going through this process, I'm realizing how much I lied. Like, I don't even know that I was lying, or maybe I believe my lies. But now that I've been sober this long, I even catch myself not necessarily lying, but not being completely forthright. And at least I'm noticing it.
Yeah.
You
Well, let's
know,
backtrack a little bit. Let's
yeah.
backtrack and we'll catch up. We're gonna see I bounce all over. I bounce
Okay.
all over. So
Sorry.
you mentioned you're from Colorado?
Uh-huh.
Okay, born and raised?
Born and raised. I was born in Colorado Springs. Then I traveled around a little bit. I landed in a very small town called Telluride, Colorado, which was a mining town, hippie town, turn ski town, turn yuppie town.
Okay.
And went through elementary, middle school, high school. I graduated with 21 kids.
21?
21.
Holy shit. Like,
Yep.
in a high school, like you went to school like kindergarten through 12th grade.
Yep.
With you and 20 other people.
Pretty much.
That is wild. How big was your school? K through 12?
Well, so it was K through 12, but then they kind of separated when I first started, the elementary and the middle school and high school are combined. And that's when I first crushed out on my husband or ex-husband. I was 13 and he was 18, and that was like, that's another part of my story is
Well, let's catch up. So you're
yeah.
okay. You're born in Colorado Springs. You kind of bounce around,
Yep.
and then you end up in Telluride, which I've
Mhm.
heard of for some reason. I don't know if it was ever in a movie or a TV show or something, but I definitely heard of Telluride.
Yep.
T with a T, right?
Yep.
T-E. Yeah.
Luride. Yeah.
Yeah. Brothers or sisters, parents stay together, or what was that family dynamic like growing up?
Family dynamic was my father was president of the bank,
Okay.
and very charismatic gentleman. He also have my father's genes. He is just celebrated 39 years of being sober, but he went into a period of drinking and also drugging, and almost lost his life 2 times. So I was 13 when he got sober, and I said to myself, I
Wait,
will
you're
never.
in your 50s, Amy?
I'm 51.
Oh, holy shit. You do not look 51.
Oh,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. Um, so I was 13 when my father got sober, and I told myself I will never be like my dad.
Yeah, don't we all?
I know, right? And today my dad is my hero. Let's just put
Yeah.
that out. We're very, very close. My parents have stayed together. My mother is a saint. My mother is a normie.
Yeah, so was mine.
I have 2 younger sisters, which I think kind of for a long time, they are 5 and 6 years younger than I am. And I've really gone through this and evaluated this with my life coach. And I took care of my sisters a lot. I also feel like I kind of took care of my mom a little bit. Maybe we also ran around. We ran amok in that town. We didn't have
Oh,
curfew.
did you?
Huh?
I said, oh, did you?
Oh yeah, we didn't. We did not have curfews. We didn't lock our doors. We were like hippie wild children. It was it was really cool actually. I the first drink I drank was when I was 14. And there's this place called the Free Box, where people put clothes. And then my friend, we went into our mom's liquor cabinet. We drank Bacardi, and somehow then a cop told my dad at the bank that Amy's at the Free Box and she's acting funny. So that was my first drink, and then I got in trouble.
This is like the 1970s. This is the 1980s, right?
Yeah, this would have been, well, I was born in 74, 84,
Yeah.
88, yeah. 89. So I got in trouble, and then I don't believe I drank again probably for a year after that, maybe. But that's what we did. We went to parties. I never liked the weed. I didn't like it. But
it's not for everybody. It's not. I've noticed that it's not for everybody. No. I liked it for like 25 years, and then I quit. I quit last April. It just wasn't doing it for me anymore. I was quitting benzos at the time. I had a problem with benzos, like Valium and like Ativan. I was abusing them, prescribed, and I was just abusing my medication. And I was like, you know what? I'm 38. I've been smoking weed since I was 13. I smoke weed all day, every day. It's not cute anymore. It's costing me a ton of money. I was like, I'm done. I'm going to quit that too. And I had a relapse with Xanax last November, but still I haven't touched weed since. It's part of my life that like, I feel like, it's done. It is what it is. I'm over it. So
yeah, weed always made me paranoid. I certainly, I think being from Colorado is just kind of, it's just always around.
Yeah, it is. I've been there. I was there was my brother. I have a younger brother and a younger sister. My brother's 3 years younger, and my sister's 9 years younger, and we're all very close. And I was 29 the first time I got my brother to smoke weed. He was 26, and we were in Amsterdam, and we were with our family, and I got to smoke with my dad and my mom, My parents hadn't smoked since before I was born, so they hadn't smoked in 30 years. And my little sister and her boyfriend, who is now her husband, and I smoked with him all the time, so it didn't really matter. But still, I hadn't smoked with like my brother ever. He never smoked a day in his life when he was 26. You know, he's a total normie. You know, he'll drink here and there, but like compared to me, I'm like a drug addict, alcoholic since I was 11. He was smoking cigarettes at 13 until, you know, January. I just quit. And so we get back from Amsterdam. It was like March. And then around like December, I was like feeling like an itch. I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to do something. And we were making good money at the time. We owned a business with our dad, a plumbing company. Okay. And I was like, let's go to Denver for the week. You know, let's just get out of here and go to Denver for the week, Chris. He's like, all right, let's do that. So we got an Airbnb and we went to Denver. We flew out to Denver and we had our cab stop at a dispensary. I bought a bunch of weed for the week. And we got so high, we did not leave the Airbnb the entire week.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Between being mile high and everything, we just watched documentaries and just smoked weed all week. And I don't think my brother smoked weed since then.
Yeah, it can really wreck you.
Yeah.
In Amsterdam too, they call it hash. So isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but well, there's different types. Yeah. Okay. Hashish is one of them. Yep. Okay. You can either go to a coffee shop or a coffee shop. Depending on how it's spelled, depends on if you get coffee, caffeine, or you go to a marijuana dispensary store. So like the first one I went to, there was one, it was a setup made from God. It was perfect. Our hotel was right here, and then half a block down at the end of the corner was a mom and pop bakery. And then half a block down further was the coffee shop. And you walk in, you get in line, and I picked out a joint, and it was like a fat, like already pre-rolled joint. And I sat down in a booth, and it had like 90s hip hop playing, like really like music from like back in the day. And I just sparked up this joint, smoked it to my face, and listened to 90s hip hop, walked outside, smoked a cigarette, and then walked back, got a bunch of homemade big ass cookies from the mom and pop bakery. And I met my family. We checked in to the hotel, and everybody was resting from the train ride from Germany or from Belgium to there. It was like an 8-hour train ride. And I was like, nope, I'll see you guys at dinner. Tell me where to go. I'm going to the coffee shop. So, because like I had been waiting this whole entire trip to smoke in Amsterdam. I'm the pothead of my family. Everybody knew that already. So, like, my mom's like, this is your part of the trip, JD. Like, this is for you. And so I went, I smoked, and I met them at dinner. And the restaurant we went to was across the street from the hotel bar, or from the hotel. And I sat down, and I was like, what kind of beer do you got? Because in Europe, have you been to Europe before? Because it sounds like you ask for the beer that's local, because that's the better beer you're going to get is the local one. Yeah. So I'm like, what's your local beer? And they're like, Heineken. I'm like, no. I don't want a Heineken. Like, I've had Heineken in America. They're like, have you had Heineken in Netherlands? I said, no, I haven't. They're like, it's made here. It's our local beer. I'm like, give me that. And, you know, and when I ordered my dinner, I'm the pickiest eater in the world. And I got salmon, and everyone knows I love salmon. And I'm like, can you like get like lobster sauce and like pour it on there too? And everyone's like, the fuck did he just order? They knew I was stoned. Everyone knew I was stoned.
Yeah, I was in Spain after. Well, I was in rehab, and then my ex-husband said, "Okay, you're gonna pay for this rehab, so maybe you'll stay sober." Well, we had planned a trip to Spain with our kids, and I think I was drinking in the airport. So yeah. That rehab was a total waste of money.
Yeah, it sure was. So you didn't like some, but see, now I know where we're at. We're at 14, we're 15. You like to drink. You had your first drink. It's a year later. You don't like to smoke weed. Then you start drinking again.
I mean, it wasn't like, it's just what kids did. We partied every Friday and Saturday, and that was the norm. It wasn't like we partied on Thursday. I didn't, let's just say.
I did.
I did not. It was a Friday, Saturday kind of thing. I I was a fairly good kid. I mean, I was a B student. I mean, we could play volleyball, basketball. I was a cheerleader. Um, I wasn't a great skier, which I think kind of pissed me off really, because everyone kind of could ski and I couldn't. And I was like, this stinks. I just don't have, I just don't, it's just not in me.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
uh, but let's see, the first time I got in trouble drinking, like in trouble, I think we got caught a night before a volleyball game, and our our PE teacher like lived next door to my neighbor, which I live next door to. And I mean,
I'm
I
sure
think,
it's a small ass town. Everyone lives next to each other.
yeah, I think he just looked in the window and called on them, like, these kids are drinking. So,
Yeah.
um, then my senior year, I've always had this like bad boy. I want to, well, I was dating this really nice guy, and then he was really into skiing, and he's like, like, skiing's more important. And I was like, okay, so this is where the rebel comes out. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go for, the bad boy who's a sophomore and I'm a senior.
Mhm.
And the first time I got in trouble, we ran out of beer. And at that time, we had 3-2 beer in the grocery store. And I was driving my dad's bank car, company car. And the boys went into the grocery store because they were checkers. And then I was the getaway car. I We then we went to the end of town by the cemetery, and we were hot tubbing in this house by outside. And I think, oh, what's that cop's name? I'll remember him. But he's like, Amy, come out with your hands up, you've been in the scene of a crime. And I was like, I'll remember his name. So all the kids ran, and I think I was in like my bra and underwear, and I was like, hey. And then there was like 3 of us, and we didn't get arrested, but they took us to the jail and they did the mug shot,
Yeah.
Harris.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, hand me your key, hand me your license, is what he said. And he cut it up, and he said, you won't be driving for this was my senior year. You won't be
No
driving.
shit. Your dad just cut up your license in front of you.
Yep, cut it up. And
Well, he was sober at the time, right? He had a 5-year sober at the time.
13, so I was 18. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was the first time he said, do you have a drinking problem? I'm like, what are you talking about? No. He's like, do you need to go to rehab? I'm like, what the heck? No. I mean, I really thought he was insane at that point. And then I had to do community service, and they're like, well, you're gonna have to paint the lines on the streets. And I was mortified. Like, if
Who
anyone
made you do community service, your dad or the town?
me, I had to do community service for getting in trouble for being the getaway.
But who made you though? I thought they didn't arrest you. Like, who made you do that?
The town. Harry was the cop. Hi, Harry. No, he'll probably never see this, but yeah, he knew my family by all of our first names. But I don't know if I got I don't even know what it was, but I got in trouble. I had to do 76 hours of community service.
That's rough. I've had to do community service, and at first they had me do my probation officer. It was through probation, right? And I didn't know what to do. It was my first time getting on probation and getting community service. And this was back in 2012 ish and 2013 maybe. And they're like, okay, well, you live in Audubon. That's where I lived at the time in New Jersey. And they're like, you can do what's in your town for community service is you can do trash pickup. I'm like, fuck.
Oh.
So I show up to the whatchamacallit, and I sign up. And I had to do track, and I'm with people I graduated high school with, so I knew the guys, that were doing it. But still, going around town with the municipal, you do 6 hours of trash pickup in the freezing cold in November, December. They write you down for 4 to 6 hours, whatever it was. And then I caught a break, Amy. I was, my dad had my dad worked for Roto-Rooter Plumbing. Is a couple towns over, and he was a manager, a general manager, so he ran all of South Jersey. Eventually, we had our own franchise together. That's the one in Pennsylvania. My brother and my dad had together, but this time he was with the corporate side, and he was like, "Hey, I had this account. It's the VFW around the corner." And I mentioned the guy mentioned me about community service. I'm going to take you over there. I said, okay. So I go over there and I'm talking to the guy. He's an old VFW guy. He's probably in his 60s. He's like, listen, I just need you here on Saturday and Sunday around 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., which is when my dad goes to the office to do paperwork because it's quiet. He goes, come in and just mop. And because I didn't have a car at the time because I was such a drug addict. He was like, just mop and, put the chairs up and, make sure it's clean around here for the afternoon for like football season and all that kind of shit. And, you spend 2 hours here, I'm marking it down for 8. I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah.
So I would spend 4 hours there on the weekends and I would get 16 hours marked down on my sheet. Sweet. So I flew through community service once I met that guy. So I was there like 5 weekends and I was done.
Yeah. I got, and I've noticed, or I think I've gotten away with a lot of things with my charismatic personality and I don't know, just
like, I relate.
I don't want to say like, oh, I was so cute, but like
we're good talkers, Amy. We're good at talking,
aren't we? So my service, I was like, I went and we had a teen center and I went and talked to Bruce and I was like, Bruce, can I do community service here? And he's like, are you shitting me? And I was like, yeah, I can do anything you want. And by the time I was scooping ice cream or cleaning, he's like, you're bugging the shit out of me. Like he would just actually like add hours and I probably did 50 hours.
Yeah.
And then I graduated from high school and went to college, but
did you go away?
I did. I went to Colorado State.
So you lived on campus then? I
did, and there was more people on my floor, my dorm floor.
Than you went to high school with?
Oh, pretty much, yeah. I mean, in high school,
they're a D1 school, right? That's a big school. They're a D1, right? For like sports and shit, they're Division 1?
Maybe 2.
Okay, I know they're a bigger school. Where are they located at? What city?
Fort Collins.
Fort Collins, okay.
Yeah.
And so you go there. What were you studying?
I don't know.
General studies, just whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I had no business being there.
Were you there to party? Was it a party school?
I wasn't there. I don't even know what I was there to do. I think we were expected to go to college, and that's what we did. You grow up, you get good grades, you go to college, and you figure it out. Well, I was like a lost puppy in this huge school. I mean, I grew up in this tiny town, and I was like homecoming runner-up, and this and that, and I hung out. I guess we were all cool kids. I mean, there were some cooler than the others. I wasn't the coolest, but we were just mountain town kids, and I got there and I was like a deer in headlights.
Fish out of water. Yeah.
Yep. I was like, oh, and I thought this boy was cute. He wanted nothing to do with me, and I think I wasn't the cutest, smartest, funniest person. My character didn't let me get away with as much. So I mean, I partied a little bit. My friends, Christina and Sharon, who are still really close friends with me, they're like, "You're a party girl." I'm like, I guess so. But so I did so horribly with my grades. My dad said, "I'm not paying for this BS again." Yeah. He's like, "You can come home." Well, at that point, my ex-husband or my husband, Todd, at the time, I was 18, he was 23, and him and his cousin came back from graduating at CU Boulder. And
okay. Yep. That's a Division 1 school. That's a party school. I know that.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So, so Todd and Trevor, came home, and I ended up I mean, I didn't think we were partying that much. I mean, we were drinking. We called Trevor Pocket Full of Fun because he always had something fun in his pocket. Um, Unfortunately, Trevor's not with us anymore, and
uh,
he died from this
what's
disease.
the disease? Yeah.
Yep. He was, and that's, I think, part of my story too. But you know, came home for a year, went back to school, went to like Front Range Community College, got an associate degree in dietetics. I just wanted to be back home where Todd was really,
Yeah.
and my
Were you
family.
living with him at the time? Were you living with him yet? Or you guys were just
No,
dating?
I think I started living with him when I was like 20, 21. No, 21.
So how did your parents take? Did they know him or like him? Because like you were in a
Yeah.
small town, and I'd imagine everyone knew everybody. And then you're also the oldest girl, so you're the first girl to experience dating for your dad. And that because I was the oldest boy, so a lot easier on my dad. By the time he got to my sister, he knew what to expect. But like I can't imagine being the oldest of three girls, and back in the 90s before like internet existed and in cell phones, and you couldn't like track their location on your iPhone. So you know what I mean? Like I couldn't imagine like.
No, I was a good kid. I mean, like everyone. I mean, I think they loved Todd because they were concentrating now on my sister, especially my sister
Right.
Melanie, little hoodlum, and so like, okay, live your life, have fun, Amy. And Todd would come over and cook, and it was, my parents accepted him more than I think his parents accepted me because yeah. So they're, his dad came into my dad's office, was like, I don't know if this relationship's appropriate, and my dad's like, why not? Like, is my daughter not good enough for you? So there was some of that. His stepmom was very kind to me. She's just a very kind woman. And we actually ended up living at her house because she lived in Tucson and come back and forth. And we ended up just saving a ton of money. We would pay, like we were paying rent, and we just put it in a savings account. And so we were able to buy land down Valley and build a house. And I mean, I was living a good life.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yep.
But the drinking was still like, not out of hand yet.
No.
It was more like just partying here and there, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And when did you start having kids, Amy? How old were you? Well, when did you get married?
I got married at 26.
Okay. So you guys were together for a few years before you decided to like.
Yeah, I kept waiting. I was like, yeah, but it came eventually. And, I dabbled in some drugs with the boys, and we did some X and.
Yeah, the 90s were big for X.
X and little cocaine, and
yeah,
that's about really we didn't ever smoked weed. We just didn't like it.
Yeah.
And we had lots of Todd's college friends and Trevor's college friends, and every weekend in Telluride you have a festival. So there's like Bluegrass Festival, 4th of July, Blues and Brews. I mean, it just goes on and on. So there's always a reason to party. So got married at 26, and I mean, life was going well.
And what did your husband do for a living?
My husband, ex-husband.
That's what I meant. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's all right. He's the only husband I've had. So he was a fly fishing guide, and then my dad, he actually started working for my dad at the bank, and then his family started a clothing store in like 1972, and his uncle then him and Todd's business partner Wendy bought the clothing business.
Okay.
So, and it's a very successful business. They still are running it and owning it.
Yeah.
Yep. So
what were you doing for a living?
I was working. I started working for my mom at a hotel, like doing check-ins and reservations, and then I got a really good job as a reservations manager for a company called Alpine Lodging, and I worked for them.
I'm sure it's probably huge out there. hotel and restaurant management. That was going to be my first major actually in college. I switched majors like 3 different times.
Yeah.
And before I even like got to freaking college, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And therapy was one of them. Lawyer was one of them. Like going pre-law. And then I was like, you know what? And I landed on therapy as I become a therapist. And which is why I have another podcast called The Unlicensed Therapist, because I never finished school. But with that show, I talk about trauma mostly. And I talk to people that are in active addiction as opposed to addiction and recovery. So it's a little bit different of a show. But that's the here. So I went to school for therapy, but I dropped out after like a year and a half. But I kept switching around. But the first thing I wanted to go for was hotel and restaurant management. And now that I think about it, that shit must have been huge in Telluride because of all the ski lodges and everything, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I got this job. I worked for them for 12 years. Life was good. And you know, when I look back on things, everything kind of started changing after I had my babies.
Well, that was my next question. When did you start having kids?
I was 29 when I had Gavin, and I was 32 when I had Tatum. Those are my 2 kids.
Okay.
They're currently 19 and 21. They are probably the whole reason I'm still here. They are my joy, my love, my everything. And but I think I started gaining resentments with me and these kids, and I was breastfeeding. And I mean, I didn't drink during pregnancy. I didn't drink during breastfeeding. I would tell Todd, like, we only drink on Fridays. Like, why are you drinking? And I was very, like, I did not want to be typical of my dad. I knew what he went through, and I didn't want to do that. And I didn't want to be that for my children. And
was your dad giving you like warnings, like, hey, Amy, you got to stay on the straight and narrow because you could end up like me at any time? Was he like giving you like any kind of like heads up, like, don't, like, watch yourself?
Maybe occasionally, but again, they were really focused on my sister Melanie because she was a troublemaker.
Yeah.
She did worse things than me in high school. But that's another story.
Yeah, that's not your story to tell.
So my sisters, my sister Sarah was probably a little more quieter troublemaker. Melanie is loud and robust and like, ha ha, I am Melanie, hear me roar. And I'm somewhere in the middle there. So,
is she the middle child?
Huh?
Is she the middle child?
No, she's the youngest.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, she's the platinum child right now. So
okay. All right. So you start having your kids at 29 and 32. Yeah. 31. Okay.
Yep. 32, 29, 32. I mean, life was good. I did notice after the kids, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I felt very alone. We lived out of town. I ended up going and taking Gavin with my other sister, Sarah, to Scottsdale. I was like, I got to get out of here. I felt very like everything was closing in on me.
Like postpartum.
Yeah.
Did you have postpartum and not know it? Like undiagnosed postpartum?
I bet I did, to be honest.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah.
I bet I did. And then after I had Tatum, I ended up actually getting really sick. I ended up having a gluten allergy and I lost all this weight. I was like 98 pounds.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I was tiny. My breasts were like tube socks from breastfeeding. I felt like a 12-year-old child. So, ended up getting fake boobs, which my ex-husband says was the demise of our marriage. So he might be right.
Why would it be the demise though? It built your confidence. Did it build your confidence in a negative way?
But I think maybe it ended up getting me in trouble, to be honest.
So we'll get there. It's later on in your story, is what you're saying. So okay, you have the kids. You go down to Arizona. Is that you had both kids when you went to Arizona, or just between kids you went down to Arizona?
I would go down to Arizona a lot.
Who lived down there?
My mom and dad.
Oh, they retired down there?
No, they were working. Yeah, my
I'm not sure,
parents.
I'm from the Northeast, so I've lived all over, like North Carolina, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Los Angeles, but I'm not sure how far is Scottsdale compared to where like you grew up in Telluride. How far of a ride is that in between?
8.5 hours.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not as
Not
bad as I
bad,
thought it was.
but with 2 kids, I mean, I was always on a mission
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
and then I get down there and I would, you like exhale. This is the town that I grew up in is absolutely stunning, but it's a mile long by, I don't know, 3/4 of a
Yeah.
mile. There's a box canyon at the end. Um, if you get up to the top of the mountains, it's beautiful, but it can get really dark and gloomy in the winter. I always like got
Mm,
weird after football season ended. So February was always a little weird for me. February, March.
yeah.
So I always say to Todd, I'm going to go to my parents. But then I had this full-time job. And so it was just balancing. And then Todd started doing a lot of guide trips, and he hunted a lot, and he was doing things. He's like, you need to find a passion. I'm like, I don't have time for a passion. I'm
You
working
say
at
guy like G-U-Y or guy like
like,
G-U-I-D?
wait, what did I say? I forgot.
Did you say guy like man trips?
Oh yeah,
Like,
guide.
okay.
Yeah, man trips.
Man, okay.
Like, oh,
Him and his
the
buddies. Him and
boys
his buddies went away. Yeah.
me and the boys are going here. And I'm
To
like,
Alaska?
I mean, they wouldn't all, yeah, he's like,
That's crazy.
yeah, he'd go a lot of places. And so
And
I think I
you're
started,
back with the kids.
huh?
And you're back with the kids, meanwhile.
Mhm.
With a couple of little kids running around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you weren't when you were by yourself like that, is that when the reins started getting loose and that's when you started drinking?
Not so much,
Okay.
maybe a little bit. What the problem was is when I think it started, I stopped working for Alpine Lodging. I then went into business with a central reservations company, and I became business partners with my best friend who I grew up with, her husband. Um, bad, bad idea. Bad
Yeah.
idea. Bad idea. Um,
Infidelity.
so that ended up not working out, not because necessarily of him, but there was another man involved, and I just couldn't, I didn't like him very much. And my dog didn't like him. And like we could bring our dog to the office, and Doug ended up growling at him, and then I got in trouble. Like, and then I was like, I'm off to Arizona. So that was
Yeah.
my escape.
And that's like a rule of thumb. If your dog doesn't like somebody, that's a
Oh,
sign right there to like, if the
oh,
dog doesn't like you, I can't be friends with you. Sorry.
no,
That's a
no,
sign.
yeah, it's a sign. So ultimately time went on, yada yada. I'd go out with girls a little bit and stuff. And I ended up there was a boy that I grew up next to. So when I was 18, he was 8. And
Okay.
and so he was annoying. He was an annoying kid.
Yeah.
Then I was
38.
38 and he was 28.
No, it's
And
not as annoying anymore.
oh no. So he said all the right things, he said all the right things. And I had an affair. I mean, it's not a secret. But it was at the time.
What do you
And
mean not secret? Like you weren't
like
even trying to hide it?
everybody knows. At the time it was a secret. At the time I was,
And this was in Telluride,
yeah, this is in Telluride.
where everybody knows everything anyway.
Yeah, so it ended up that the boy's cousin is best friends with my husband, who then my best friend was best friends with Todd and the cousin, and gave me an ultimatum about me telling what is happening. And that's where this all came out. And that's where, before it all came out, I was drinking, and like, you're drinking a bottle of wine a day. And then it was, you're drinking a bottle and half of wine a day. And then it was, wow, you're drinking 2 bottles of wine per day. And this disease, and I truly believe it is a disease,
Me
and
too.
it's progressive. And
Well,
it,
when did it? Because I think we skipped over it kind of
yeah,
nonchalantly. But when did the one a day start with the bottles of wine? How old
probably
were you?
38.
Okay, when you
30.
started the affairs, when you started drinking
Yep.
really heavily,
Yep.
were you drinking with him or was it guilt alone?
It was both.
Okay, so you were feeling guilty though, because
Oh,
by then you had like a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old running around too,
yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, and were you working?
Yep.
Okay, and was your husband working a lot and going on these guy trips still?
Yep.
So it was kind of easier, with the schedules to, dip out like during the day. Was it like a during the day kind of thing while you were working? You
Mm,
didn't care, did you?
not so much. I
Not
mean,
so
I don't.
much.
I,
Okay.
it was more like I don't know. I
When it
don't
was
know.
convenient, when you found time.
I guess so. But it was
Yeah.
like then it came out and it was like this has got to stop, and it was like we're stopping, and then it didn't stop, and I was like, oh, he's my soulmate, which is just a bunch of bullshit. And
Yeah, I mean, you and Todd have been together 20 years at that point almost. I mean,
yeah,
and that's really the only guy you really ever been with that we've talked about at least. So that's a lot for someone who is coming up on 40, which is I'm coming up on 40 now. And I almost left my wife recently. And so like I get like that kind of like that pressure of like, what the hell am I doing? Should I make a decision? Should I leave? Should I start over? What should I do? And it's like this whole bunch of like thing is,
oh,
especially when it just you feel like you're gonna explode.
horrible age.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
It's
It
a
is.
horrible age. Because you're like at the height of, I think at the height of your, like you're confident enough, you're smart enough,
Yeah,
you're like I fit in. These are my girlfriends. Like I'm having a good time, and then your friends start finding out like, wow, Aim, you're really kind of, we my sister would be like, you're shamey or you're lamey. You're not Amy, like shamey Amy, lamey.
did your
And
friends know what you were doing?
yeah,
Some of
yeah,
them, or all some of them did.
yeah. So then, it was another rehab. No, that was the first rehab. And then came back home, and he was like a drug. He was like a drug.
The guy was, the 28-year-old was
Yeah. Yep.
your soulmate.
My soulmate. Yeah. I've had a couple soulmates.
Yeah, yeah, no, I hear you on that.
Yep. My last relapse was over my other soulmate. So yeah, I know.
We'll get there too. We got
Yep.
time. It's only 44 minutes in. We got time, Amy. So you get back from your first rehab. And Todd still wants to work it out with you though, right? He still wants to like
Yeah.
figure this out. You're the mother of my children. We've been together 20 years. Let's work this out, right? I'm catching on to that. That's what I'm
Yeah.
picking up on. Okay.
I mean,
But by then you were already hooked on this other dude.
a little, yeah. And then, looking back on all this, analyzing this the last 2 years, we've had to put it down. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think I put a lot of stuff out of my memory. Like I just there's things that still come up where I'm like, oh my gosh. Todd's mom moved to Colorado from Texas, and not to blame others for my problems, but
Mm.
she was a lot. She just was a lot. And that would cause fights. Like she'd be like, are you coming to my house for Mother's Day? I'm like, I'm a mother.
Yeah.
Our dog Greta died. Then she showed up with this like ginormous hound puppy dog. And Todd's like, we have no business having a dog. We have 2 babies. Like there was just things that would cause these fights, right? And then Todd's
Yeah.
dad would come and he'd drink too much. And it was just like this life started happening. Like it was like this person or that person or you or me or this. It was a lot of this pointing fingers. And I think I didn't feel good enough, or like I wasn't like, what's wrong with me? You know, I think I even said that last night to my life coach or whatever you want to call her. Um, she's like, nothing's wrong with you. I'm like, but why do I always have the wrong pickers? Like, you know, I have such a big heart, and I feel like, you know, it's like, so now right now I'm in this, I have a wall. Don't like leave me alone. You know,
Yeah.
I've worked hard. I just, yeah. So I mean, I moved out of the house. This affairs kept going. Now you
Did you
know,
say affairs with an S on the end or affair kept going?
affair.
Okay, okay, okay,
Not affairs.
okay.
Maybe after, like, I mean,
Yeah.
that got
Well,
ugly.
either way, okay.
Yeah.
So
So
that's going on now, but this time when the affair keeps going, this one's more hush hush because you already got caught the one time.
yeah, but I guess it wasn't. Yeah, I just, and so I moved out. I wanted a separation. Todd said no. We're getting a divorce, and then
Oh,
this.
okay. So he's like either we stay and work it out, or you leave and we're done. We're not gonna do a separation.
Yep.
It's either stay and we're gonna work it out, or leave and we're donezo.
Yep.
Okay.
But then, you know, I was trying to be with my soulmate, and the soulmate's parents were like, what is going on here? Like, didn't approve. So then again, I'm like, what's wrong with me? You know, like, of course they didn't want their 28-year-old child being with the 30 or 38-year-old, 39-year-old, 40-year-old woman. So he would have been, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Either way.
It, you know, with 2 kids, like, that's not ideal. But I didn't see it that way. I just, you know, so then I ended up seeing that
Which is so backwards to me, Amy. Which is so backwards to me. That shit bothers me so much because you know they all they care about in that moment. This is my opinion, you know, and you know the parents better than I do because obviously I don't even know this guy's fucking name. But my opinion is, you know, they didn't want him to be with you because they wanted grandkids. They wanted grandkids of their own, and they knew if he ended up with you, that you weren't going to have more kids. You were done having kids, and that means no biological grandkids for them, and that gets them upset, especially if he's an only child. Was he the only child or the oldest?
Only.
Nailed it. That's exactly what it was.
Well, and it's
right?
so funny because like his family, Todd's family, my family. I mean, these are all well-known names in the community.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, oh boy, you know, it was just incestuous.
Yeah, so that's what I think. That's my opinion. Is they wanted grandkids of their own, and they knew they wouldn't get that with you. Did they end up getting married to somebody else?
A bit, like just a couple of years ago. Yeah, I don't talk to him. We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I wish him well. And
yeah, but yeah, so they didn't approve of you, whatever, you know. And again, you're like, what's wrong with me? Now you're living on your own. What's the custody situation like with Todd and the kids? Like, how often do you have them?
But somebody then reported that I was partying too much, so I had to like talk to children's services, and then that's when it really, you know, they're like, well, you have to do urine tests, we want you to go to these meetings, and part of me just said, I was like, screw all of you. So my brain changed to like, I'm going to get better, I want to be a good person, to
fuck it,
fuck all of you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a big, I hate this town, I hate this person. I mean, everything, and it was everybody else's fault. It wasn't mine. Like now, you know, my favorite song is the Taylor Swift song, like, hi, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. And
yeah.
I can look at myself and I can say, okay, what is my part in this? And that's a huge part of my recovery. Like,
yeah,
what am I contributing to this issue? And
Step 4 is amazing, and that's the finding your part in any situation. When so I got sober in 2018 originally. Like, that's my recovery date is April 25th, 2018. That's when I stopped doing opiates, and that's when I got sober from everything for the first time. I was 31 and a half years old. I was out in Los Angeles, and I was only smoking weed. That's it, and then cigarettes. And I came back to conservative Pennsylvania, right? So I got sober in AA originally, and I'll break my own anonymity whenever I talk about mine. It's up, you don't have to. Don't feel obligated. This is just me. I do this all the time, so I feel like I'm used to it by now. So a little bit about me is, so I didn't think I was an alcoholic at first. And then I went to AA, and I'm like, okay, I'm an alcoholic. But I went there originally for opiates. That's why I went to rehab. That's why I went to AA, was for opiates. And in Los Angeles, they didn't care if you talked about drugs in AA.
oh,
So I come back to conservative Pennsylvania. I did the steps in LA. I had sponsored, did the steps. I was going to 2-3 meetings a day, 4 sometimes.
yeah.
And I was just living recovery, and I loved it. And I came back to PA to run my business with my dad and my brother. And, I would go every day at noon. That was my lunch break. I would hit a meeting at noon, and then I would go every night at 8, 7, 6, whatever meeting was that at night. And then on my 1 year, they wouldn't give me a 1-year chip at my home group
Oh,
because I smoked weed.
yep.
And
That's my friend at home.
And in Los Angeles, they're like, oh, you're Cali sober. Here are your chips, doling out chips, But in Hershey, Pennsylvania, they're like, no, we don't believe in what your recovery. So I got a case of the fuckets. And then on my 13th month anniversary, on the day, May 25th, I bought a 6-pack of Twisted Tea. I poured the first 2 out, and then I drank the other 4. And my point of pouring the first 2 out was, an alcoholic has to drink all 6. They have to drink every drop, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not an alcoholic. But only an alcoholic would do a test like that dumb shit. So, I drank for 9 months, not like crazy off the rails, responsibly. And I was still working the steps. And this whole thing started talking about this is because whenever I caught a resentment in those 9 months, I would sit down and write it out.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I was drinking, I loved that step so much that even in my time that I was drinking in those 9 months, whenever I caught a resentment, I would find my part in it, and I would call up my friend that lived in Los Angeles. He knew I was drinking again. Like, hey, this just happened. I got to vent to you about something. And it was my venting session. And that was my step 5. That was a way of me talking to another alcoholic about it. And, and it was just, that's how I, justified my drinking for 9 months. And then I woke up on Leap Day 2020, February 29th, 2020. And my wife's an alcoholic also. And we woke up, it was a Saturday morning, and I couldn't move out of bed. I realized I drank a whole bottle of Jack Daniels the night before, which is a big jump from that 6-pack of Twisted Tea that we talked about. Now I'm drinking a whole bottle of Jack in one night. And I made a big ass bottle, the 5th. And I said, my wife's name is Mikey, Mykee. I said, Mikey, I need a drink right now, or I got to stop forever. I got to quit. And they said, I'll quit with you, because my father-in-law's got 35 years in AA.
Oh, okay.
My wife just never liked AA. So that was their thing, was we got to find a way to do recovery differently. And they do recovery Dharma. That's their recovery methods, recovery Dharma, which is like a Buddhist approach to recovery.
Okay.
Right now, they're literally at a recovery Dharma meeting that they started in person in town.
Okay.
But yeah, they're like, I'll quit with you. And both of us haven't had a drink since. And I was like, Leap Day is the perfect sober date because we can only celebrate once every 4 years.
Oh, wow.
We only can celebrate February 29th once every 4 years. So even though we haven't had a drink in 5.5 years, we've only been able to celebrate the day once.
Only an alcoholic would think of that.
Yeah.
Because we are so weird. We are just interesting.
Yeah. So you were talking about your resentments. You were living on your own, and your drinking is progressing, right?
I mean, I'd have to do this urine test, which I was so annoyed with, and then I wasn't supposed to be drinking. Then I was drinking, and I was hiding. That's when I started hiding my alcohol in my own apartment. And before, like, I do go out or this or that, and so and this is a big part of my story. Is I had was hanging out with one of the affair boys friends, but I wasn't, like, there was no romance at all, which everyone like speculated that Amy was doing this. And we were both supposed to be sober. The guy was on a fishing trip, and I was like, "Hey, you want to go and drink?" And he's like, "I'm like, let's ride the gondola." Oh, we can't let people see us together. And we ended up going to this party rock, high school rock. I drank a whole bottle of wine. He was drinking vodka, and it started raining. And then I was.
We're supposed to be sober, right?
Oh yeah, we're both supposed to be sober.
Okay.
Started raining a little, and I was trying to put my flip flops on, and we both fell 30 feet off of a rock.
Holy shit.
Yep. And so this was a rock where kids would throw their beer bottles into.
Like a quarry, right?
Like
a quarry?
Yeah, a little bit. So it was definitely 30 feet. I ended up with a hematoma, fractured my L4 and L5. The friend ended up with a shard of glass in his hip. Oh. Didn't know. I didn't know that at the time.
Shit, that hurts so bad just thinking about it.
We both ended up getting ambulanced somehow to the emergency room. Mm-hmm. This should have been my first wake-up call, or second or third. Should have. And then got sent to Grand Junction, which is 2.5 hours away, because I had a hematoma. So they thought they'd have to flight life me to Denver. They ended up doing another scan or MRI, and they're like, "Where did that go?" Like, they're like, the doctor said, "There must be someone upstairs looking after you, because your hematoma was like this yesterday, and now it's like, you don't have to go anywhere." And he's like, "You're a miracle." And I stayed sober 8 days.
8?
Yep.
Who found out about this injury?
Everybody.
Including your ex, including your affair boy. Affair boy.
Oh yeah, everybody.
So was the guy you were having an affair with unhappy that you were hanging out with his friends by yourselves drinking?
I mean, he thought we were like hooking up. I'm like, no, it wasn't that way at all. I just wanted to vent about affair boys' behaviors, because it's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah, obviously. Never yours.
So yeah, my parents had to drive from Phoenix, came and got me, stayed with me. I mean, it was a hell of a mess. And then
your parents leave. And your parents leave. Now you're by yourself again.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, well, time to drink again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then found out, like, affair boy was like, he would hang out with me in private, but wouldn't like hang out with the friends. And I was like, again, what's wrong with me? So it's just, then my partying got a little bit more, but then found out the affair boy on Instagram was like in the Bahamas, flying around in a helicopter with New Girl. So that sucked. So
that's one way to tell you, huh?
Yeah,
after like years of like hooking up. All of a sudden, you're like, well, that's what it is though. It goes back to the maturity, Amy, of
Yeah.
like someone who is less mature, who didn't really give a shit about your feelings, or else he would have told you straight up, like, this is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for more. But no, he didn't want to say that. He'd rather hook up with you until the wheels fell off. And and he already assumed you were hooking up with somebody else anyway. So, just that's so immature. Now,
Yeah.
where are your kids at on all this, Amy? Like, how are they're getting older as this is going on? Mom just like hurt her back really bad.
Yeah. They were well, my daughter says I never brushed her hair, which is such bullshit. She's like, you never brush my hair. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's still a joke. But they were young, it affected my son. So after the helicopter girl, I knocked on my door at home and I begged to come home. Please, I want to come home. I want to be a good mom. I'll be a good wife. And Todd let me back in, and never trusted me, and for good reason. I
was just gonna be a dickhead and be like, right, he didn't trust you, really, for what?
Oh yeah, I know. So I mean, God bless him. I mean, honestly, we're finally coming to a place where we can actually have conversations. Although we do get still fired up, but our kids are our everything. So when conversations get heated, it's about our kids' behaviors or how does this affect the kids. So
yeah, I mean, you've been together at this point like off and on 30 years.
My gosh, yeah. I mean, he knows inside and out, and
since you were 13, you knew him. Really, technically, you were 13 when like you had your first crush on him. That's
I mean, I wrote in my diary, it's probably here somewhere, it says, I'm going to marry Todd. And sure enough, but I screwed a lot of stuff up. And then at one point 3 years ago, Todd said, you gotta go.
What was going on then 3 years ago? Because like, were you drinking again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It just didn't. It didn't stop. And I went down to Scottsdale. My parents said, you can be here for as long as you're not drinking, going to meetings, which I was, with my dad. And then my sister said, come to Florida. And that's how I ended up here. I was sober again for 90 days and met a guy again. It's all about guys and Amy. So
what part of Florida? You don't have to give me the city, but like you're on the east part of Florida, right? You said.
Nope, I'm on the Gulf side, the west side.
You're on the Gulf side, okay. Yeah. And now have you ever been to Florida before this? Like just vacationing, or no? Your first time to Florida was moving there.
Mel and her husband, they moved to Florida. So it basically was, Melanie said, I think you should just come down here. And I screwed that relationship up too. I just could not stop drinking. I could not. I had so much.
Did you move in with your sister, or did you get a place near her?
My ex-husband spent money on a condo for me for two months. I mean, he just
really?
Yeah. I mean, then I lived at my sister's house for 2 months, and then Hurricane Ian came. I drank all of her wine. It was just a shit show. Then my parents moved here, kind of like to be like, what are you doing, Aim? And then I met another boy, another guy, and I was like,
Where'd you meet him at?
In meeting.
I was at AA, right? You're in a meeting.
Yeah. Yep. And
how long were you sober when you met him?
Oh, I mean, I was drinking when I met him. I mean, I was like 8 days sober, 2 days drunk, 8 days sober, 1 day drunk.
Breaking all the rules.
Oh, I was like,
no dating early in sobriety. And I can't talk. I was such, I'll admit it right here on this podcast. I was a fuckboy when I got sober, and I'd only been in one relationship in my life, and I was with my best friend, and that ended in suicide.
Oh,
And so, like, oh, what's their name?
Charlie. This is my boy.
Charlie.
Yep.
I love that name. I love. Hey, Charlie.
Hey,
I have Scuba, and I have Scuba, and I have Diver,
oh,
and they're brother and sister from the same litter. Scuba Diver
that's
and Diver. Well, the name came from Diver. Used to dive underneath blankets when he was a kitten, and so started calling him Diver. And then now he's so chunky, he just plops. So now I call him Plops,
Flop.
and he'll answer to Plops. If you say Plops, he's looking all around. But I'm a dog guy. I've had dogs my whole life.
Me
But
too.
now that like I live in an apartment with my wife and our 11-year-old, I'm like, I don't want a dog cooped up in an apartment, and with no yard to run around in and shit. I want to get we have a couple cats, and they're brother and sister, and they're so funny together. And they love cheese. Every night they follow my wife into bed for cheese stick, and my wife takes the mozzarella and just like takes it in little pieces, and they fight over it, and it's so cute. So
yeah, he's my guy. We saved each other. So
so you're off and on. You meet a guy. You're still drinking. Is he drinking too? Like off and on as well? No, he was sober. So he was 13 stepping you.
Oh, he 13 stepped me well. Yeah, very well.
How much time did he have?
A year. So not a lot, but
so that's enough to know what he was doing.
Oh, he knew what he's doing, and
Was
I
he younger?
Huh?
Was he younger?
No, just 2 years.
Okay.
Not like the fair boy.
Not like the fair boy.
So then we moved into each other. I gotta get a charger. Then we moved in together.
You moved in together.
Oh yeah, because we were gonna save each other. And I probably still love him. I mean, he probably saved my life, to be honest. He got me to say okay, but I was being sober for him. I want to go back.
I got it. All right, so you're saying that he saved you, or you saved him, or what happened there?
I saved him. I mean, no, he saved me. Sorry.
Okay.
And I thought, I mean, and we, everyone's like, he love bombed you, and I'm like, I probably love bombed him too. So we, we laughed a lot, and he would take me on adventures, and we, I really thought, but we just weren't ready, and he shouldn't have allowed me to, and I shouldn't have allowed him to, and ultimately his behaviors ended up with him messing around, and
Gotcha.
So then again, what's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me? So and I was 10 months sober. The longest I'd ever been sober.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a long time for you.
That's really a long time. So I ended up I was dog sitting for one of my sister's friends, and things just weren't going well with move-in guy. I don't know what you want to call him.
13 stepper. 13 stepper. We're gonna call him.
I'm just gonna call him Mr. 13. And Mr. 13 is like really charismatic. Everyone thinks he's so great, and he is. But he had a lot of childhood trauma, ton. His father died early. His brother, his sister. So he had things that he had to work on, but he took those out in a way that ultimately I wasn't spiritually fit, and I drank over. Yep. So
you drank over his shit.
I did. I mean, but I probably drank over my shit too.
Yeah.
So I was dog sitting at this very beautiful house on Siesta Key in Florida, and opened the freezer and saw vodka, and I said,
It's on.
"It's on." I said, basically, what did they say? I threw it in. Fuck it. I had to chuck it in the fuck it bucket.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
like, I don't fucking care. And you know, at this point, I was in a lot of self pity. Poor me. I don't have my kids. My kids are in Colorado.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're in Colorado. You're in Florida. How long you been in Florida at this point, Amy? Like over a year or two?
When this happened,
Yeah.
a year and a half.
Okay.
Yep. So, um, I ended up I mean, oh God, I was so sick. I threw up so bad. I was like, oh, I can't handle it.
Were you
I
gonna keep that a secret? Were you gonna keep that slip up a secret that since no one knew?
Oh, no, no. I mean, I don't have, we call it futtering in my family, flying under the radar.
Uh huh.
I have no futter. So,
Were you drunk dialing?
oh,
You,
I drunk text,
oh, Amy.
Instagram, I drunk Facebook. I mean, I either go real silent or like,
uh-huh.
so,
I'm the
yeah.
silent kind of guy. I recluse.
Oh, yeah.
You don't hear shit from me when I
Yep.
relapse. I was very, very like under.
Yeah. I'm that way. Like my parents still get nervous. Like they're like, you're awfully quiet. You're awfully quiet. Even my life coach said you're awfully quiet. And so, but the thing that happened with my last relapse is I um
So that was your most recent relapse. Then was that vodka in the freezer?
yeah, but then it ended up, I don't like vodka.
Yeah, I was gonna say you never talked about vodka until now. So, but did that wasn't the only night you drank? You continued drinking after that because you figured the
No.
cat's out of the bag.
Well, I called my mom and dad. Um,
Mm-hmm.
said I'm drunk. I'm drunk, and my parents were like, Jesus, not again. Um, so then I was 10 days sober, going to meetings. Then at that point, I'm drinking White Claws at the beginning of the day just to not shake.
I was
So,
gonna say, how are your withdrawals throughout all this? Like your physical withdrawals through all this
oh, I had to like,
proper detox.
I had to self detox.
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay. Which is
Yeah.
dangerous.
But
Hey, if you're watching this and you have a problem with alcohol, don't do what Amy is doing. It's super dangerous. You
super
literally
dangerous.
could die.
No, you can have seizures and
Yeah.
die.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Um, I ended up, so ultimately, what happened was I said to myself, I was having suicidal thoughts. I was thinking, like, I don't care. Just
Yeah.
why, like, poor me, poor me. Um, and I was like, in Colorado, you could like drive off a cliff, but like here, like you can't drive off. You could like
Drive
maybe
off the
find
cliff.
where you gonna like drive your car like over a bridge. So that you can't drive it into the
You
water. Like
can't do shit in Florida like that.
I don't know. Like, and then you try to think like, oh, what could I do? And then I'd be like, I'm gonna end up alive, and like, and then I'd be in a wheelchair, and oh, so I was like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get some pizza, gluten-free pizza, and I'm gonna have like 3 glasses of wine. And I drove myself to the ER and didn't know you got Baker acted in Florida. So they said, "Are you having suicidal thoughts?"
Yes.
I said, "Yep." And then I did go out with I mean, I look sweet and kind, and but I got feist in me. And that subsided a little bit, but ultimately I ended up with a cop on me, 3 nurses, and They said we're gonna put a shot in your leg, and I was like, nah. And I woke
Turn
up.
into the Hulk.
I woke up in Tampa at a psych ward.
Good old psych ward, jails, institutions, and death. That's how
Yep.
it ends. And you know, I've ended up in. I was in a psych ward last December. I you know, I was coming off Xanax. I had a 9-day binge.
Mm.
I quit. I had quit everything over the years, so I quit everything. And last November, I quit smoking cigarettes. I was using a patch, and it had
Oh.
been 25 years of cigarettes, a pack or more a day. And so I was like, okay, I'll quit. And my wife was like on me about quitting smoking, so I was like, okay, I'll quit. You know, I get it. My health, you want me around, blah, blah, blah. You know. And so I was like, I'll quit. So I got a patch. I got the patches, and I'm like 8 or 9, 10 days in, and I'm like, I'm missing something in my life, Amy. You know what I mean? Like something's not there. I work from home. I work very hard. You know, at this desk. You know, my work's just right here.
Yeah.
And my wife has MS. I take care of them because they're on permanent disability with MS. We have an 11-year-old, my stepson. He's on with his dad. He's with his dad on the weekends. But you know, I work very hard, and I was so stressed. I work 12-hour days when I work. I work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'm off Wednesdays and weekends. And I missed my cigarette break.
Oh.
So I messaged my drug dealer, aka my psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't bought street drugs in 7.5 years. You know, even when I was smoking weed, I was going to a dispensary. You know what I mean? So like, I haven't bought drugs on this. When I relapsed with Valium, it was through my psychiatrist that I got after my dad died. You know, I got my benzos after my dad died, and that was in 2023. And so I messaged him. I'm like, hey Ryan, because I called him Ryan. It's ridiculous the relationship I had with him. You know, he's not my psychiatrist anymore. Don't worry, because I manipulated the shit out of him. And I said, I quit smoking cigarettes. Which he knew because he gave me the patches. He prescribed the patches, so I was only paying $1 for the patches. Fun fact: if you're looking to quit smoking cigarettes, get your doctor to write you a script, and you go to the pharmacy and you only pay your copay as opposed to paying $65 for a box. You pay your copay, which is for me $1. Yep. So I did the same thing with the gum too. If you Nicorette gum, it's $1. Anyway, I said, as you know, I'm quitting smoking cigarettes. I need something the relief is gone. I need something. And he said, how about Valium? And I said, no, I've used that before, which is hilarious. I'm like, no, I've used that. And he goes, okay, I'll give you Xanax. And I'll give you 1 milligram, 90 of them to start. I said, okay, that works. I pick him up and didn't tell my wife, obviously, because then my wife would want to hold on to the prescription, make sure I'm taking it safely, yada, yada, yada. I don't want that. Who needs that? You know what I mean? So I take it on my own fruition. And all 90 of them were gone within 5 days.
Oh.
So I text him. And instead of getting a tongue lashing for going through them so fast, I said, that wasn't strong enough, Ryan. I need something stronger. So what's he do? All right, here's 2 milligrams. You know, 90 of them. Here you go. Writes a script. And I took 50 of them within 3 days, including 20 of them in 12 hours, between Tuesday at 7 p.m. to Wednesday at 7 a.m. My wife woke up and I was overdosing and called an ambulance. And apparently I said I wanted to kill myself. So I was in the hospital for 4 days while they did a phenobarbital, taper to get me off the Xanax safely. And as soon as I got done the taper, they sent me off to the psych ward in Philly for 3 days. So, and I've been clean since then. I've been clean since December 5th of last year. But yeah, that was a rough time. Not exactly how I want to. I love watching Christmas movies. I'm a big Christmas movie guy. Like I literally have, where's it at? The lamp, right there from Christmas.
Oh yeah,
the lamp on my arm, the leg lamp, and fragile, yeah. And so watching Christmas movies in the hospital is not exactly how I wanted to watch Christmas movies.
Oh no.
So I get home finally, and my wife's very upset, which they should be. And we worked it out, and then there's been some rocky roads. We do couples therapy. Every other week. And while I've been off this month of September, we do it every week. We ramped it up while I'm off. They try to help us get back to where we were. So we're working on things. We want to be together. Like you mentioned earlier, that somebody was your everything. I got everything written on my wrist. My wife has everything in my handwriting written on their wrist. So because we always say you're my everything. So that's both of us have it tattooed on our wrists. We got that within a year. Plus, we got our wedding rings tattooed, on our fingers. So if we got divorced, I had to marry somebody with an M, or else this makes no sense. So
Funny.
all right. Let's catch up. November 12th, 2023.
Yeah. So
You decide rehab again.
I ended up in a psych ward.
Psych ward. Okay.
And I mean, they didn't put me in detox. They put me. So this psych ward had level A crazy, level B crazy, and detox. And I was put in like probably because of the cops, and they're like, she's like level A. And so, but I was and you're so like fogged out. You're like, it's weird. And but there are people who were like staring. So I went up to the well, you meet the doctor like once a day or one, like, and I was like, I wrong place. And they're like, where should you be? And I said, I think I need to be in detox. And he's like, no. And I'm like, no, I really like, I should. And ultimately I probably should have, because that's, but I was probably so drugged up I didn't know it. I don't know. And so I said, I'm not this crazy. And so they did move me to the level B. I was like, oh, thank God. So I was in there 72 hours. And
that's what I did.
I didn't see, I didn't breathe fresh air. And I was like, I could have killed somebody driving. I could have killed myself.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents came to get me. Oops. And the look on it was raining again. And my mom said, well, your dad's going to go get the car. Let's just wait inside. I'm like, Mom, I don't want to. I
gotta get the hell out of here.
The hell out of here. And she just didn't even it didn't compute with her. And that was probably a spiritual awakening of mine when I opened the door and smelled the like humid Florida air. And I've never been so happy to breathe air.
Yeah.
And that was that. I told myself, I mean, I don't think I have another recovery in me.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm 39. I'm 39 in 2 weeks, and I feel the same way, Amy. Like, I'm just so done with it. Like, the ups and downs, the psych ward, the rehab. I just need to just get this shit right. Part of my recovery process is this podcast. They say, and you know what they say, a meeting is two alcoholics having a conversation.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've done over 300 of these. And this is part of my recovery. I don't make money. I don't have any sponsors. Like I pay $18 a week to use the site that I'm using for this video recording. So I pay to do these interviews, and it's my sober hobby, and it keeps me sober, keeps me clean. Hearing stories all day long, like yours and other people's, makes me feel less alone. And it's it's crazy how much we're all alike when we're all different at the same time.
Oh my gosh. For so long, what's wrong with me? Why am I this way?
Oh, I already named your episode, by the way. Your episode name is the one where Amy doesn't know what's wrong with her.
So I worked hard.
Tell me about recovery, Amy. Tell me about recovery. So you get out. How long you were in the psych ward for 3 days? You get out of there. Do you hit a meeting right away? Do you hit the ground running?
Well, I came home, and the number 13th stepper had moved all of his stuff out of our house.
Good.
And I came home to an empty home, and I was flabbergasted, and I'd never felt so empty in my life. Like, but I did not, I had so many opportunities to be like, I can drink over this. Um, and I didn't. And
Do you think your parents were worried you were going to?
no idea. I mean, I found this apartment. It was like, you get the first month free. You know, I had a job. Luckily I didn't lose that. They're like, we just need a doctor's note. I work for a corporation, and the doctor's note said Tampa, I don't, mental health. And I was like,
Mental health, yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna get fired, and not.
No, you can't legally.
So I've had this job for my 2-year anniversary is coming up on my job. I somebody said, the person I've worked my steps through with said, "Are you willing to go to any length?" And I said absolutely, and I have worked hard. I went to probably 120 meetings
Nice.
first 90 days.
Yeah.
I go to anywhere from 4 to 7 meetings a week,
Nice.
depending on how I feel.
Yep.
I know when I'm off. I can feel. I know when I'm off the beam. I have this. I have the yucky feeling in my belly button, and which moves into this and then out
Do you
here.
have service? Do you have a service commitments too?
I do. Yep.
Nice.
I share a lot. I'm I do, yes. So I have other levels of
You don't have
service.
to get into them. I was just curious. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, my I'm calling her my life coach, but she's
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I go any length. So I
I did the same thing. You want to hear a fun story about any length? I like to relate. I don't when I do these, I feel bad sometimes, like if you're just talking the entire time.
oh yeah,
So I like to relate and give you some examples of who I am, get to know me a little bit too.
absolutely.
This way the audience gets to know me too, because I don't, usually talk about myself unless like we're relating. And they said, because I went through AA first and then NA eventually, because I got really bad on drugs. So I want to talk about drugs, and you can't talk about drugs in AA. Oh, yeah. So, but AA, they talk about any lengths a lot. So the last 2 years of my addiction looked like I was living in Amish country in Pennsylvania, in Lancaster County. My drug of choice was pills, and my dealer was in South Jersey, an hour and 45 minutes away. And 4 to 5 times a week, I would drive to Jersey and back to meet up my dealer, because I didn't know how to find drugs in an area that I didn't live ever. I didn't grow up in that area, so I didn't have any connections. So, and I drove an old cop car. So, like, it's not like I could go to the bar. They would see me pull up in an old cop car and be like, don't trust that asshole. He's driving around in a cop car. So, way to go undercover, So, I had my dealer in South Jersey, and I would drive there 4 to 5 times a week. And so I was driving for my drug of choice a lot. So, when I got back to Central PA after rehab, and I moved out and I got my own place. At first, my parents were like, "Come back to our house and live here for a little bit until you get on your feet, and then you can move out, wherever you want." And so I did, and then I moved to Hershey, PA, which was down the road. It smelled like chocolate. It was beautiful. I lived right near the chocolate factory, and it was great. I loved Hershey. It was a really cool, clean city. And I found this meeting. There was meetings all over Harrisburg. They're all over. Harrisburg's next town over, and meetings everywhere. But I specifically found a meeting that happened on Wednesdays and Fridays, and it was in Enola, or what town was that? It doesn't matter, but it was about 50 minutes away. But it was southern Lancaster County. It was still in Lancaster County, just deep far through Lancaster. And I would drive to it every Wednesday and Friday. And I wanted to drive for my recovery like I drove for my addiction.
Yep.
And I would drive there listening to music, jamming out to music, smoking my cigarettes. But after the meeting, driving home, that was my meditation time. I would have the windows down, no music playing, and I would be recounting the meeting, the shares that I heard, and the things, and reflecting on what I took away from that meeting, whether we read something or somebody said something prolific, and kind of like, that was my meditation. They say praying is asking and meditation is for listening.
Yep.
And that was my time to listen to everything that we just went over for that car ride.
Yeah.
And I did that for the rest of the year until I relapsed. And I thought it was the best thing I could have done for my recovery, was going out of my way, just like I did for my addiction. So it's funny that you said that any ways possible, because that's exactly how I felt when I got back too.
Yeah, I live in the shark tooth capital of the country, and I my 13 stepper showed me how to. He's like, here's a shark tooth, here's a shark tooth. So that became like my meditation. I have a shark tooth sifter. I've collected so many shark teeth. I just filled up my jar. It took me.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I found a megalodon. So I'm really like, it's really big.
Are they big? Do you have them nearby that I could see them?
Ah, let me see. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Let's see.
I can't. I'm trying to like picture shark teeth, and I could Google it, I'm sure.
So this
shit!
This is a megalodon.
Holy shit, they're big.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So that one I found. It's not full. It's like missing part of it, but then here's my whole jar.
Oh wow! Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yep. And
the color is really cool too. It's like a dark gray, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're gray.
Yeah.
Brown. I've even found this one's really cool. I found a horse tooth.
Wow.
So I love it. I don't, it's just it's part of my recovery journey and story, to be honest. It's
now, how do you relate that to your story though? I'm not challenging you. I'm just trying to find.
No. I think people meditate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's my form of meditation, because I honestly don't think about anything except for, I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm in the moment. And that's where my recovery, now not so much. I would just be so full of shame and guilt. And what have I done? I've ruined everything. I've messed up my family, my kids, this, that. And I don't live in the past so much, but I certainly, I can future trip.
That's my middle name. Future trip, my middle name.
Future tripping, man. But I've come so far in the last almost 600 and what did I say, 72 days.
72 days.
I've kept my job. I got
how's your relationship with your kids?
Oh, I've made amends. I have living amends. I got, after 90 days of sobriety, I got a cat. That was the deal. I just bought a house.
Nice.
My parents co-signed on it, but
the promises right there.
Oh my God. Isn't that the best? It's so, I still have economic fear of economic security for sure, but it gets better. I'm comfortable. I can pay my mortgage. I can, live a good, fulfilling life. I got to take, and with my job, so my 13th stepper, he had a boat, and we would go on the water, and it was so it was just so peaceful to me. And then when we broke up, the job that I have gave me an opportunity to learn how to boat. And my dad said, "You did that out of spite." And I said, "Probably." So I was able to take my aunt and my uncle who are visiting boating, my sober girlfriend. It's just the best thing. I mean, I did it. I did it sober. it's probably been the best thing for my, like, just to know that I am capable and I am good enough,
Yeah.
like, that's the whole story about it. Like, I I and gosh darn it, people like me.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
um, I am enough.
Yeah.
I and the relationship that that my kids are brutally honest. They're brutally honest.
Especially that age. I have
Oh,
two step kids. My wife was married before we got together. And they had their husband was married before that. So my wife had two stepchildren. They're now 22 and 20.
oh
Um,
yeah.
one of them is trans, now a woman, a girl, and the other one is non-binary. My wife is non-binary, they them. And then my wife and her ex-husband had a kid, not an 11-year-old. He had a regular kid. He's now 11. But I've been in his life since he was 5.
Wow.
So we have such a blended family of like, I have two step kids, and they're 22 and 20, and they're still getting used to me, to be honest with you.
Oh, I bet.
When I had my relapse last year, they kind of like, gave me a
Oh,
whole big, yeah, and they're still, forgiving me, 9 months later, they're still giving me a hard time. But, I learned at first it was bothering me. But over time, I've learned it's about patience, and I can't make them, like me. All I can do is live in amends, show them that I treat, who they call mom, because they call my wife mom. I treat their mom like they're the only person in the world,
yeah.
and I treat them like I love them because my wife and I met under the pretenses of friends with benefits,
Oh.
and we were going to be friends with benefits. And then after the first night we met, we said, I love you at the same time. So, like, and we were engaged within a month, it's like it happened really fast. Um,
Yep.
but
Yep. We tend to do that, don't we?
oh yeah, we got married during COVID. Um, we're coming up on 5 years, November 27th. And what happened with that is we were going to get married the New Year's before COVID even existed. We were still drinking.
Oh.
But their husband was dragging his feet on signing the paperwork for the divorce, and he finally signed it during COVID. And my wife had to go sign the final line, and so I took them over to the lawyer, and the lawyer happened to be across the street from town hall. So my wife signed the dotted line for the divorce, and then we walked across the street to the town hall and got our marriage certificate. And a week later, our best friend was visiting from Jersey and married us in our living room during COVID.
Wow.
So yeah, and then we called our family the next day, like, "Hey, we got married last night." Everyone's like, "What? What?"
Oh
And
yeah.
my dad gave me $1,000 as a thank you for not getting married, not having a big wedding. So
Yeah. Yeah. I would have. No, I enjoyed my wedding. I enjoyed my.
yeah,
Yeah, but part of my poor me story too, and I want to bring this up because it's
yeah,
really
of course, we can
important.
talk about anything, Amy.
Um, the friend that I fell off the rock with ultimately got addicted to pain pills and well, it was an accidental death. So I had a lot of guilt and shame over that too. So
The let me get this straight.
the affair boy
Affair boy,
friend,
his friend, the
yeah,
affair boy's friend that you were with that day on the rocks. You both fell, and he sustained an injury with glass in his hip and something else. And when he got injured, they gave him painkillers, and then he got addicted to the painkillers. And did he overdose on the painkillers eventually, or did he take his own life from the stress from the painkillers?
uh,
Is
uh,
it,
your guess is as good as mine. It's
okay,
accidental death, but I believe it included alcohol
yeah,
and and pain pills.
that's a shame. There's
Yep.
I've known, unfortunately, so many people, Amy, that have died from this disease. Because I started drinking at 12, and I started using opiates daily at 22.
Mm.
And I grew up in a town like yours, 1 square mile. Everyone knows everyone, except for we had 9,000 people smushed into our town.
Oh,
And, so everyone was on top of everyone, literally. And everyone knew everyone's business. So
Literally.
They still do in that town. They still do.
Oh yeah.
But I've known so many addicts, people, even like one of my really good friends, this guy Jesse, his birthday just passed last week. I can say his name because he's passed away now. And his family, so we shared a backyard fence, and he's the first friend I made moving into town in first grade, or kindergarten, first grade that summer, because we shared a backyard fence and we were the same age. We were 3 weeks apart in age, and the most intelligent person I've ever met in my life. And I don't mean, got great grades. I mean intelligent, like beyond school intelligent. And he was the first person I ever smoked weed with. And he got clean when I got clean in 2018. He was in Florida, I was in Los Angeles, and we would talk to each other on the phone all the time. He was always up late, and I would call him. I would walk everywhere in LA. I don't ride bikes, and I don't like Ubers were so expensive. So I'd walk miles and miles in between meetings, and I would call him up and we would talk for hours. And, right after Halloween, 2018, he relapsed and he died on his relapse. And, I was heartbroken when I found out that he, overdosed and he passed away. At his funeral, he didn't even look like him. And after that, I've been so numb to hearing about death from this disease. It's almost like we're at war and, another soldier has fallen and you don't have time to mourn their death because this person's struggling and that person's struggling. And, you don't know where to turn because like everyone seems to be on the brink of death. And when you get clean and everyone, is turning their back on you because they're afraid of the things you're going to say to them, you feel helpless because you want to help all these people who are stuck in addiction and they aren't ready yet to hold their hand up for help. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
I'm in a very odd situation where a very close friend of mine, she doesn't want to get it. It's very, to see this side of it, to understand the lies. I'm like, you're just lying. You just keep lying. And I've really had some conversations with my mom and my daughter about it. And I'm like, it's just so frustrating. I want to shake her. And they're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, we get it. We know it, Amy. Yeah.
And it's really been an awakening for me to be like, man, I was a lying dick, like a lying asshole, man. Just the stuff. It is crazy town. Crazy. Yeah. And I've had a hard time because, we have a responsibility statement. I am responsible when anyone reaches out for help,
Yeah, I remember it.
And
for that, I am responsible. Yep.
Yeah, for that I am responsible. And so for me, but I had a girlfriend kind of who has more sobriety than I, and she said to me, they will get you drunk before you get them sober.
Yes.
Man, did that hit home with me.
100%.
And, I have to, at this early stage in my sobriety, I still am number one, because my ship could sink. I get triggered. I lost my keys yesterday, man. I had not thought about drinking, but it's when those weird, like frustrating moments happen. I was, they ended up in the darn grass, but I could not find my keys. And I was, God dang, a drink sounds good. And
what it is though? We got to listen to the verbiage that we use.
Oh,
we got to listen to the words that we use subconsciously. Because I've been off and on sober and clean for 7.5 years now, where I've had some relapses too, and I've noticed that I got to listen to the words that I'm using. If I say, like right now, my biggest trigger lately has been cigarettes, and I've been craving them so bad lately. So bad, and it's always like, and my wife will check me too. I'll be like, oh man, I need a cigarette so bad, and my wife's like, you need or you want,
Mm-hmm.
or and it's all about those words that we use. And I'll tell you, I think you and I started talking about scheduling before I left my wife, or almost left them. And I had taken out a what happened with that is I was also to go sign a new lease and everything at another apartment. I signed a lease, gave him a down payment, and then I did a 401k loan to buy furniture, and it was Monday the 25th. I was supposed to move on Thursday the 28th, and the money hit my account, and I said, oh, thank God, this is gonna be great for us. And I went, holy shit, I said us.
Mm.
I was like, is there a reason I said us? And then I spent 3 hours with TV off, me just laying in bed, no phone, no looking at my phone, just me and my cat, and just contemplating, should I ask my wife if I can stay? Should we work this out? I moved 34 times in 15 years as an adult. I'm a runner, Amy. I'm a runner. I'm fat. I'm not a runner like that. I will leave town and leave Dodge so fast to make your head spin. And I was like, I run from everything, and maybe I should stick this one out. Maybe this is the one I shouldn't run from. I am very happy with my wife. My wife's been very happy over the years. Nobody knows me like they do. And nobody understands me like they do. I'm like,
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I should stay. And I talked to my wife. They got home from their recovery Dharma. Like I said, right now they're at recovery Dharma on a Monday, and it's usually 2-3 hour meeting by the time they get home because they run it. So they get there set up and then break it down or whatever. And they got home, and our kid got home from school. I sent him to his room for a couple minutes. It ended up being an hour and a half, and we talked, and we worked it out, and we upped our couples therapy to weekly instead of biweekly while I'm off. I took a month off of work through FMLA, and we've just been working through it. And
Yeah.
I'm still here, and we got we're getting through it.
Yeah, I got to get through it. Yeah, I just kept running from myself, and I'm like,
Yeah,
stop running. I gotta learn to love myself.
you were
And
doing it too at Scottsdale. You kept running to Scottsdale.
oh yeah, I was running to Scottsdale. Yeah, just and thank God my kids are we've had tough times. My daughter is not an easy one. My son's a little more forgiving, but he'll come out, and my kids came out. They've been to Florida. Like my daughter will visit, and then my son will visit. But this past May, they both visited together, and I was called a dry drunk by my dad by the time they left because my behaviors were like it just took me back to when I was drinking, and they stick up for each other, and you know they call it like it is, and I think we still had some stuff to work through,
Yeah,
and I think that was probably the best thing that could have happened, and now I feel like we're kind of on the other side.
yeah,
I feel like I'm on the other side. It feels really nice, like for anyone who's struggling out there, this is, I mean, I remember my life. I remember what I say to people. Even if I'm not very nice, I still can remember what I said.
yep,
Um, and I'm so blessed, I'm so blessed to have my mom and dad nearby. My sister and I are mending our relationship. My other sister is in California, and that's still in progress. You know, there's living amends, and you know, and then like I said, my ex-husband's cousin, pocket full of fun, he died of this disease as well, and
was that an overdose as well?
it was a very it was a bin he was on a bender. Yeah. Not a pretty thing. He was 48 when he passed, and super smart man, and that really affected me, but I kept drinking. My people would keep dying. My boss died in an avalanche. So I just had these
Oh shit, an
deaths.
avalanche.
Yeah. And so I kept having these deaths happen. And I'm like,
Mhm.
even my girlfriends from college were like, you're just bad luck. We're not gonna hang around you. We might die, you know? And I mean, I had so many deaths happen, but uh, and I would just drink over. I mean, I just used it as an excuse. I just drank and drank and at this point, you know, I if I drink, I'll probably be dead within 5 days. I'd be
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. I
So,
agree.
yeah.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid to drink because it'll lead me to opiates so fast.
Mm.
Just getting that feeling of warmth would
Oh,
take me to be like, oh, I know how to make this even better,
I
right?
know.
I know how to up this even and get it even crazier. Let's get this party going. I already relapsed. Once you get it in your head that you already relapsed, then
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really on,
Oh, yeah.
and that's when you really start to escalate. I had a guy I met back in um, college, a night school, back in 2005. And I was going to night class, which is unusual for an 18-year-old. But and I met this guy who was in his 40s, 50s, and really nice guy. We were friends. We got made friends on Facebook. He was in a lot of my classes, and Larry is his name. And turns out he was clean. He's in NA, and I can say that because he said that on my show because he ended up being a guest, and he told me he got banned on coke in the 80s. That Colombian, pure cocaine in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I quit in '88. I went to rehab, and I was going to NA. I was doing really well, and then the usual happens. You stop going to meetings. I stopped talking to my sponsor, and then I had an NA beer, non-alcoholic beer. And he
Yep.
goes, then I was convinced that I was already drinking. So then I started drinking regular beer, and then I called this girl who used to go to meetings with me, and he was like, I had this problem, JD. I had a reservation, and the problem with reservations is sometimes you show up for them. And I
Mm.
had a reservation about doing heroin, and he's like, still to this day, since 1988, I never did cocaine, but in 1993 to 1996, I did heroin every single day for 3 years.
Wow.
He's like, he was making, he has $1 million in the bank from a business he started that like hit it big from like a tech company. And, he had all the money in the world that he needed, and he could be high every single day as much as he wanted to be. And that's exactly what he did for 3 years. He never withdrew for 3 years. He never went through withdrawals because he had the money to buy it every single day. And I was like, man, that's crazy. Like, that is absolutely. Then he went to rehab and detox, and he's been clean since like 1995 or 1996. But he had an amazing story. His story was a really good one. He's from Massachusetts, and we're still friends to this day. And he's a great predecessor for me to look up to for somebody in my fellowship that I attend. So
Oh,
that's the other reason I love this show is I get to know people like yourself, where we could we're man, woman, and alcohol, drugs, and but still we're the same. We have so much in common. For the last 2 hours of getting to know you, we're both the oldest of three.
yep.
Our parents stayed together the entire time. They both wanted us to be clean. All these things. Your dad was your hero. Your hero. My dad was my hero. So we have a lot in common too.
Yeah.
And that's why I love doing this. It brings me so much joy, and I love getting to know you. I think that you're doing an amazing job.
Oh,
You're making the right decisions now. You're making decisions that not just for yourself, but for everybody around you in your life, like your kids, and you're taking into consideration other things. And I'm very happy we got a chance. We rescheduled on each other like 4 times.
I know. I know. I think you got sick. I got
Yeah.
COVID.
Oh,
Oh, life
yeah.
happened. But
Oh,
I'm
last week was a mess, Amy. I was so sick Friday night into
oh,
Monday night. I was sick as a dog. Like, couldn't get out of bed. I was just I lost 10 pounds that weekend.
oh my gosh.
Like, it was rough. It was so rough.
I know. I've never been this heavy my whole life, even when I was pregnant. But it's like, you know what? I'd rather be little fat and sober than skinny and I mean, I would really be skinny and 6 feet under. So
Yeah.
and a little ice cream here and there, or every night.
Yeah.
That's where I have to. But
I even quit drinking coffee. I
oh,
quit. I eventually quit smoking cigarettes January 1st. So I haven't had a cigarette in 8 months, which has lately been my biggest struggle. And I think it's because I had the reservation of smoking cigarettes where when I decided I was going to leave my wife, I knew I was going to relapse with cigarettes. That was the first thing I was going to do was buy cigarettes. And my therapist knows it. People in my NA group know it. I had already said it out loud a bunch of times, and then I didn't leave my wife, so now I can't smoke cigarettes. So that's, I think, where my struggle with that is. But I was drinking 10 to 14 cups of coffee a day. Like this thing right here. This would be all creamer, and this would be all coffee, and I would drink 2 or 3 of these a day.
Yeah.
And I quit drinking coffee cold turkey the end of June. So I got how many days? It's on my counter actually. I have let's see, and then I'll let you go because I know you got the Charlie there looking for attention. I got 430 days from gambling because I'm a compulsive gambler. 257 from cigarettes, 284 from benzos, 532 from weed, 2,025 from alcohol. Oh, today's 2,700 days from opiates, and 83 days from coffee.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
I'm let's see, 672 days from alcohol, and then 12 hours from ice cream, 6 hours from coffee, and I do have some time on that guide thing, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Your relationships. That's the one you got to. I'm sure you're working on with your sponsor or your life coach. Your life coach. I apologize.
My life coach. Yeah.
Your life coach is your relationships, and to be weary and to be careful.
I know. So, I've got Charlie.
You got Charlie. Charlie loves you. It seems.
He does.
He's a big color bug.
Yeah. So I'm so thankful for this, and I appreciate it so much. I just love the message of sobriety, and we can do it.
Yep. And like I said, this is going to come out on November 12th. So congratulations.
One day at a time, but yeah.
One day at a time. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Super proud of you, especially since getting to know you. So proud of what you're doing and where your progress is. And if you know anybody else that wants to do this, send them my way.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much.
We have a nice day.
Okay, you too. Bye. Okay.